Are you setting boundaries for yourself? Do you know what a boundary is? Have you set boundaries with people before? What is a boundary? For those that are interested in self-growth, for those that are interested in self-development, for those that already follow this path and have done for as long as they can remember, those that are more attuned to their feelings, those that are more connected to their spirit, this is for those people. Those people that are more sensitive, that are more emotional, those that are more receptive to feelings that come from other people around us. We, as people that are generally more empathic, we have to learn the skill sets to navigate through this dimension and understand the skills required to best protect our energy as we're surrounded by whoever that may be, friends, family, co-workers, teammates, even animals, even species maybe. But sticking with people for the sake of this video, people and relationships. If we're feeling like someone or something is taking from our energy continuously and frequently, first of all, we have to assess what impact that's having on us, whether it's stressing us out, whether it's causing us anxiety, whether it's impacting our ability to focus on anything else because we're constantly worried about the consequences that may come from someone else because of the way they might react to certain situations. It's incredibly dynamic and diverse that there's no describing how this can manifest, because this will resonate with those that have these experiences happening in their life. Around them, they're experiencing people that take too much and don't provide enough back. You'll be feeling that you're overextending your compassionate and generous nature and it's not being appreciated by those around you. You may be feeling that your efforts of integrity to be honest with yourself and stick true to your soul, you might find that that's exhausting when you're around certain people that every time you express yourself honestly, find a reason to justify why you shouldn't be doing that, or why you're wrong for doing that, or making you feel bad, essentially. I'll keep this in simple language. People that make you feel bad for you expressing yourself honestly. This video is really for those people that are going through that. And this can happen at any age. There's not a particular sex you need to be for you to experience this. You just need to be a living entity, a person, a human. Once you recognize that you're in that situation, here's the good news. We have the power, and we always do have the power, to make different choices and decisions that will fuel us and invigorate us and charge us with positive energy and preserve and protect our energy field. And again, if you're someone that's more sensitive than the layman, then you will feel everyone's energy when you walk into a room. You will feel the energy of someone when they're speaking. Even if it's a video online, you will feel more. You're more sensitive to this. So we best learn how to set boundaries and, most importantly, recognize the negative energies, the vampiristic, the leech-like energy that sucks from us our positive energy that we have to give in infinite ways. But we have to address if it's happening. So that's the first stage. Stage 1 is address that some change needs to happen. Because in simple terms, I'm not feeling at my best and I'm feeling like I just want to be by myself and focus on me. That's the starting point. That's the indicator that a boundary needs to be set. So then you get to that point. How do you set a boundary? Well, first of all, understand what a boundary is. A boundary is a non-visible, non-physical, which can be physical, sure, at times, maybe. But it's a parameter we set to not allow the infiltration of someone else's energy that can come through even on a text. Doesn't matter if they're not around you physically. It can come through on a text. It can come through on an email. It can come through on seeing someone else's presence online. The boundary is to block out, set a parameter for that force that we feel. There's no judgment in this. This is just objective, what's true and right for us. If we feel something's not serving us, something's not bringing us any value, something that's taking from us, after we've recognized that, that's the time we need to enforce a boundary. And a boundary is subjective to what you're setting a boundary for and how it is set. But let's take an example. A common example, you're dealing with those around you, maybe family. And your family's constantly bringing you their worries, constantly talking about the problems, no solutions. And, they project their emotions onto you. You're feeling everything. You're super sensitive. It's exhausting. You feel bad if you can't. You feel bad, so you basically do whatever you are asked to do. And you feel bad if you don't do that and you do what's right for you. A boundary allows more opportunity and space for actually us to set precedent of where we are at. And through the expression of the boundary, the liberation should happen. So what I mean by that is, regardless what the person does, what that thing is we're setting a boundary with, it's irrelevant what they do. We have to decide we're doing this for us. It doesn't really matter how they respond because it's happening. We're doing it for us and we're drawing a line. We're drawing a parameter. We're creating a boundary. When we express that, we've communicated in whatever form. It can be a message. It can be a conversation. It could be a video. It can be any form that communicates what we actually want to say. And it might look something like this. Right now in my life, I really feel like I just need to focus on me. And in order to do that effectively, I have to really minimize the energy that comes into my life and where that energy comes from. I love you. But right now, what I have to do is focus on myself, and I can't be there for you the way you've been used to. I hope you understand. I will respond. I will still be there, but it will be on my terms and my conditions, because I have to fully commit and prioritize what feels right to me and what gives me my best quality of life. That's one thing we can say, paraphrasing. That's a template of what we can say to someone. But essentially, we've communicated how we feel, why we're making a change, why we can't be there. It can go into a conversation maybe, but it doesn't necessarily need to. That's all subjective, that everyone will have their own subjective reactions to. And I say that the way I say it because that can go anywhere after you've said that to someone, and it all depends on who that person is and how we've said it and how we've expressed it. But once we get to that point, now it's on them. We've done our part and we should be at peace that we've communicated. It's been super clear. It's unforgettable because it was an unforgettable moment where you clearly looked at someone and you expressed what you wanted to say, or you've got it in writing for a message or an email or a letter. The point is the boundary is now set. We should feel liberated because we've had the opportunity to express truly what's going on with ourselves. That's a massive step in growth before anything comes of the boundary. The fact we've set a boundary, we've not only embodied the knowledge that, we can use these things called boundaries, use the language where other people can say it. We can even say, I'm setting a boundary with you right now for the reasons as I just gave an example for. But now it's in our arsenal of weapons that we can use to protect our energy. We can now set this boundary. And we'll get better the more that we do that. And we'll learn to not necessarily care less about others, but care more for ourselves. And recognize the fundamental laws and truths. We cannot pour from empty cups. We can only really provide the support and assistance someone needs if we can provide it to ourselves first. That's the formula. That's the undeniable law and formula. We cannot provide anything. There's no exceptions here. These are laws. We cannot provide anything to anyone that we don't have in ourselves. So by setting the boundary, we're setting an example indirectly at the same time to other people of one, how we protect our energy. And we've provided a model for how other people can actually work on themselves and set boundaries in their lives. Because you'll find there tends to be a chain reaction. The people that come to us and project all their emotions and can't necessarily deal with their issues that arise there, which are really opportunities in life, they can't deal with those, so they come to us. A lot of what they can't deal with is their ability to communicate to other people. So we have to best embody that to really describe, because it can't be told through verbal. We have to show them in the way we act in our lives. And by setting a boundary is the best way we can communicate. Here's probably what you should do if you're feeling this in your life as well, because it's not personal. There shouldn't be any judgment from setting a boundary. It should come from a place of compassion and love for yourself first, and a higher recognition that for us to actually help other people, this is what we need to do. We need to become self-full, not selfish, completely misunderstood, self-full. And when we do that, life starts to change for us. We start to have much more positive experiences, strictly because we've got more energy and we feel more energized now. Now we're getting our energy back. It's like, thank God being in that moment, us as the creator of that, thank God that I'm now feeling so much better for expressing me to that person, regardless of the result, to that person, that it's been communicated. I haven't just gone, I haven't just left, I've communicated, I've set a boundary. They also know where I'm at, so they know not to infiltrate my space. Chances are most people don't after that. Most people will respect a boundary because they're normally a bit shocked and surprised by it, especially if we can express it in a way that's compassionate, empathetic. We're not trying to do too much. We're just using it as the necessary step for us to break away temporarily or long term, however long you feel you need to get away from the thing or the person that's taken away from our energy. So once we've set that, it creates this other amazing opportunity. Relationships. This is what we're talking about ultimately. At the foundation of this is about relationships. This is relationship development 101. If someone's not willing to change, or someone's not willing to develop the relationship that you're in with them. This could be a friend, a co-worker. These are all relationships, not just romantic. If someone is not willing to change and adapt, then that person's not interested in you or in us in this relationship dynamic. So therefore, why are we going to try with them? What have we got to gain now? Nothing. This person's only here for their own gain. You know, there's nothing they really provide to us. They're there for their own gain. And yeah, I don't need that anymore. This isn't serving me. And I've set this boundary. I've been very fair. And instead of adjusting and adapting and taking something from your own life and respecting that, which by the way, give time, allow time. People will react and there will be emotions that come out. There will be triggers. But I'm talking like maybe a month, at least a month after that, right? After someone's had time and space, if they are unsupportive of the boundary you set, we can question at that point whether we really need them in our lives at all. And therefore we can follow what steps to take accordingly. Basically, a stronger boundary, or a kind of like a cut-off, a disconnect of like, oh, and that will normally happen naturally because that other person won't want to be around us anymore because we no longer serve them the way that they're used to, the way that they take advantage of, the way that they're so accustomed to falling into as a backup. It's like, no, I'm not there for you anymore. You've got to work on this yourself. On the other hand, someone could really, really appreciate and respect what's happened and go, wow, I appreciate you've communicated to me. And it gives them an opportunity to reflect on themselves and what they might have done that was a little bit overwhelming, or in many cases, very overwhelming on our behalf. Either way it goes, it reveals the truth and the nature of the other person that we're setting this boundary with. And these opportunities that give us a great springboard to decide what direction we want to go afterwards. Okay, I've set a boundary and your nature has shown me that you're actually being nasty to me. You're making me feel bad for setting a boundary for myself. That's not going to infiltrate my life or my zone anymore. I'm not going to feel any guilt. I'm not going to feel any shame. I'm not going to feel bad that I'm doing what's right for me. And for you to make me feel like that, there's some serious stuff that you need to look at. And in order for you to do that, you need to set boundaries in your own life. The more positive spin. Wow, I really appreciate that you've set this boundary with me. I didn't realize that I was so overwhelming, like whatever feels right for you, I support what feels right to you. And, I'll be here when it feels right to communicate back to me. That would be an ideal world. And how it goes is out of our control. So to bring it back in simple form, all the work that we do has to happen before we set the boundary. We need to decide why we're setting a boundary, why we need to, the importance of a boundary, and the opportunity that we get through setting the boundary, the opportunity that gives us to express our authentic self, really express our feelings, and really use it as an opportunity to set precedent. When you're setting a boundary, you've spoken or you've put out into the universe a form of what you are planning to do moving forward. So if you set a boundary with someone and then you no longer follow up with what you're doing, you still feel bad and empty. It's like, oh, maybe it wasn't that person, maybe it was me. But after you've done that and you feel the reward from that, you're now in this position. It's like there is one less excuse, at least. There's one less excuse for myself now to make as to why I can't achieve the things I'm trying or seeking to achieve. So it sets us in this opportunity where it reveals a more truthful nature to our life and our existence. Because it's like, I haven't got that as a tie anymore. It's not floating around my head. I've made peace with it. I've already done that. Before you speak the boundary, this is what I know I need to do. This is what I know I need and I want to say. And I've already decided upon it. All I've got to do is execute it. And then what happens is down to the universe. It's down to that person. It's down to all the elements that are out of our control. So we focus on ourselves. We've learned to set a boundary. We can set that anywhere. By doing that very fairly, people recognize, oh wow, this person's maturity, this person's ability to actually communicate what was going on in such a way and make space for themselves, that's rare. I'm not used to seeing that. I'm used to people telling me to fuck off. I'm used to people telling me nothing and just ignoring me for months on end. I'm used to emotions. I'm used to negativity coming out of these situations. Instead, we've set an example of how to make a positive change, how to do what's right for us in a way that allows the model to be passed on to other people, which would be beautiful. For us to set a boundary with someone and that person recognize, oh wow, that's changed my life a lot actually. Now I don't have that person and I can recognize in my own life, oh shit, I can set boundaries as well with people. And it can have a chain effect. All stuff that's just an accessory. But the point is here, I hope you've taken some form of a template, an example of how to set a boundary and what a boundary is and how important they really, really are for us to navigate. This is one of the skills that we need. One important skill. And it comes back to the same reason. Energy. Time plus energy equals results. So if we don't have the time and energy, we can't achieve the results we want to do because our time and energy has been taken up by other people. That doesn't serve us. Now's the time to take back our own time and energy and watch what blossoms and flourishes as a result of that. If there's anything that you took from this video, if this was useful for you, if this touched you at a certain time in your life where you thought, wow, that's really helpful. A boundary. Now I even know there's a word, it's a thing I can do. I can set boundaries. Comment, leave, engage in some way in this video and let me know if there's any other videos, any other questions I can potentially answer that will help and serve. And I'm able to do this because I set a lot of boundaries in my life. I do what's right for me, and I always have the time and energy for me. So I have a lot of time and energy to give back. Good luck.